Hello, Exiles. Finally, all the ascendancies for Path of Exile to early access have been revealed. So, I think they did it because they don't want players to blindly choose an ascendancy and stuck with that because you cannot change your ascendancy in Path of Exile of Excel 2 if during early access. I don't know about the main game launches after the main game launches, but in early access you cannot change your ascendancy. So you need to choose it wisely. So I think that's why they reveal the ascendancies. In this video, I'm gonna talk about only the blood mage, like which class you can choose to be a blood mage or also the infernalist. So I think blood mage is the single best ascendancy in this game. Why? Because in Path of Exile, to beat the game, to like comfortably farm the end game, you need damage and also you need tankiness. This ascendancy has both of them covered. Like and in the most simple way, like they have covered the ascendancy in the most simple way. you need to you don't need to do this to activate this, like not this type of mechanics. The simplest and the most broken ascendancy I think is blood Mage. So that's why I'm gonna start with blood Mage. Let me explain you more about the ascendancy. If you don't know sometimes in Path of Exile, I think I may help you because I have some knowledge in ARPGs. Like I have played so much ARPG like last epoch and also almost 4,000 hours in Path of Exile. Okay, I think I may help you. Though the game is new, the game is like no one knows about the game, how we can make builds or play it. But I think I may help you because I have some knowledge in Path of Exile. It may work in Path of Exile. Okay, let's start explaining the ascendancies. So normally you start from this node. Okay, start from this and you go take the first one. So this first node is actually is in Path of Exile 1. Like in Affliction League, there was a league called Affliction. There was a ascendancy called Warlock. So the Warlock had this node, but it was a little bit of different. So it makes so that your mana cost is instead transferred to your life cost. So normally if you do an attack or a spell in Path of Exile, your mana, like you have some mana cost to it. So if you have taken this node, like normally blood mages start with this node, so every blood mage must take the node to progress. So they must have. So normally if you have this node, your mana cost is transferred to life cost. So you don't need to stack mana, you don't need to stack mana recovery. So you don't need to worry about your mana. If you have enough life regeneration, you can spam your spell or attacks, whichever you build. So I think this is a pretty good node because this node also has like the enemies you kill or also the enemies you critically hit, they also drop some life orbs, and if you take these life orbs, your life regeneration becomes higher and higher. Also it has an overflow effect. I think it works like so that suppose you have 4,000 max life. If you are at full life and still you take the orb, maybe your life pool becomes more than 4,000, maybe it becomes 5,000, 6,000 orbs. I'm not sure about this one, but I think that works like that. If it does, I think that's gonna be like insane. After the first one, here is the second note. It says 10% of spell damage leached as life. So if you don't know how life leech or any leech works in Path of Exile. So suppose you deal 1,000 damage to an enemy. So 10% of the damage is 100 damage. The 100 damage is converted to your life, like in an overtime effect. So it's not instant, it's an overtime effect. It takes some time, but you get the 10% damage back as life. So it makes you like more and more tanky, because and also this life leech makes so that you can spam your other skills because they cost mana. Sorry, they cost life instead of mana. So I think must take note for blood mages. Now, normally you can make the leech instant in Path of Exile, but for attacks, not for spells. There is a keystone named Valpek that makes your attacks leech as instant. So maybe there are some unique items in Path of Exile 2 that makes your spell damage also instant. But even if you don't have instant life leech, this node is pretty strong. So you can clearly you can choose this node to sustain your life and also sustain your life cost for spells. Now there comes the third node. So I think the third node is pretty strong in certain cases, not in all cases. Like if you are doing a boss fight, so normally if you cast the bosses, the cast stays for 4 to 8 seconds, I think. If you have taken the node, I think if you cast the boss once and during the whole fight you don't need to cast them again. So it removes some types of buttons machines. So I think that's a niche node that can be pretty strong, but I don't think I'm gonna take this because there are some other nodes that I think way more strong than this one. Talking about strong nodes, there comes the fourth. I'm not gonna take the fourth one also, but I will explain it to you. So this node makes so that 10% of your any damage is dealt as extra physical damage. So what does it mean? Suppose you have 500 lightning damage, 400 chaos damage, like 200 cold damage, like in total you have like 1200 damage. 112 20 damage is dealt as extra physical damage. So basically it means you have 10% more life. Sorry, you have 10% more damage. Also, this node is strong against like enemies they have that have so much like higher elemental resistances. Normally, typically the enemies that have higher elemental resistances are weaker against physical damage. So it balances out your damage. So you normally in some cases you have to struggle beating an enemy. If you have this node taken, I think you can easily damage is shared in other types. You have in this case physical damage. Also, this node has other option like another line. It has like elemental damage can contribute to bleeding. So what does it mean? Normally, bleeding in Path of Exile means that for physical damage you hit deal to an enemy, if the hit has like if the hit does bleeding, it means a certain amount of that damage is converted to a damage over time effect that is called bleeding. So bleeding is a pretty strong overtime effect in Path of Exile. I don't know about the Path of Exile 2 one, but I think it's gonna be strong also. And because your elemental damage also can bleed, it means that you don't have to scale physical damage for bleeding. So you can have bleed builds with other elemental damage. So and also if you wanna stack some ailments, this is a node. So I'm not gonna choose the one, but I think that's it. Now comes the fifth and sixth. These two nodes makes your damage become like, I think this blood mage may be the strongest ascendancy in terms of damage. So what does number 5 do? It does that you have, for every 40 life you have 1% increase critical damage. Normally in Path of Exile your base crit multiplier is 150%. So if you suppose have 4000 life, you have 100% increased crit damage, and that means your crit multiplier will be 300%. Your damage will be doubled. You don't have to do anything else. You just take the node, your damage will be doubled. If you have 100% crit chance. To have the 100% crit chance, you need to take the sixth node, the sixth one. So normally in Path of Exile, I think 4000 life you can easily get to the point. I know that the passive skill tree doesn't have life node in it, but you can have so much life in your body armor and also your accessories. I think you can easily reach 4 to 5,000 life. So I think like you're gonna have almost 350 to 400% crit multiplier without taking other crit multiplier nodes. So that's a pretty good one, like good node. Like this is, I think, the best node I've seen in Path of Exile. Now the sixth one. So normally in Path of Exile 1, your spells have base crit chance of 5%. And in Path of Exile 2, I think the base crit chance is 8 to 9% for spells. This node makes it a 15% base crit chance. So normally to reach 100% crit chance, you need to heavily invest in crit. Now because your base crit chance is 15%, if you take increased crit chance in other items, you can easily reach 100% crit chance. Now we need to test that out in actual game. It may be a bait or maybe it works well. We need to check it. But it makes so that with half of the investment in critical strikes, you can reach 100% crit chance compared to other ascendancies. So I think these two go well together, and I think I'm gonna go with this this one and then this way. So I think normally you're gonna get 8 ascendancy points. So the here comes one, two, three, four, five, six, and then two left. You can choose other things, but now I'm gonna talk about the seventh and the eighth one. Seventh node is for your survivability. So it works like how petrified blood works in Path of Exile 1. If you don't know about petrified blood, it it reserves some of your life. Like petrified blood is a gem in Path of Exile. If when you activate it, it reserves the upper portion of your life, and the damage you take a certain amount of damage is prevented from your life, like prevented from taking, and this damage has a overtime effect, and it is taken throughout a certain duration. So if you have enough life recovery or life regeneration, you won't feel the damage. I That means for enough life regeneration, this means you take 25% less damage. That's insane. Like, that's pretty insane. It also doesn't reserve your life, so it's, I think, way better than petrified blood, and it's a must take. So I'm gonna take one, two, five, six, two, five, one, two, five, six, and seven. I think, and if I had some more points, like 10 points, I would have must take the eight one, because this is also one of the strongest ones in game. So now let me explain it first, and then I'm gonna explain what I'm gonna do. The 8 point, uh, it makes so that from your inner body armor, the energy shield you get, it it like it makes so that, like, if suppose you have 600 energy shield in your body armor, if you have this node, the 600 energy shield is also added to your life pool. You have the energy shield and also the life, so you have 600 added life to your base life pool. That makes your life scaling way easier. So I think what I'm gonna do is, like, if you take this node, maybe you can stack up to 6 to 7,000 life easily. Now I'm where I think what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take up to 5 in the early, like 6 in the early game, and in late game, if I can solve my critical strike problem, like if I can cap my critical strike without this node, without the sixth one, I will unspec this one and take the other things. Like, it makes my survivability more, it makes so that my critical strike deals more damage. So I think at end, like the final end game, like at the pinnacle contents, I am gonna switch from this to this one. So it makes, like, makes the ascendancy strongest of them all. Like, I've seen all the ascendancies, and I think this one, the blood mage, is the, like, the queen of all the ascendancies available in Pathology. So I can't wait to play the game when it launches. And if you are also playing blood mage, you can come by my stream, and also you can watch my videos on YouTube. I'm gonna upload some, like, walkthrough guides in YouTube, like explaining my decisions, explaining what I choose, what I had to choose, what I didn't, why, and what mistakes I've made. So I think you're gonna love this guides I will make. If you like my contents, please feel okay. Thank you, and stay sane, Exile.